Do you know that in a small village of Rajasthan, mysterious incidents occurred in a house for about 1.5 months that left the entire village in shock? These events robbed the villagers of their sleep. Nearly 500 people gathered around the house to keep a watch. Mysteriously, fires would ignite in the house on their own and in intervals. Sometimes, clothes hanging on the wall would catch fire, or clothes being worn by people. At other times, fires would break out in the animal shed, their fodder, the kitchen, or even in the bedding. Strangely, no one was setting these fires, it was happening on its own. Even the local Tehsildar and senior police officers witnessed these incidents, yet no one could believe their eyes. Some believed that an evil spirit haunted the house, while others suspected black magic. The situation wasn't as simple as it seemed. Previously, the house had been the site of other frightening and strange incidents, leading people to suspect supernatural forces. At one point, they even had to dig up the remains of someone buried 2 months earlier. What was behind all this? Why were these fires breaking out repeatedly in the house? Who was responsible? Let's unravel the entire mystery in this video. Hello, friends. How are you all doing? Today, we will talk about the infamous Puniya family case from Churu, Rajasthan. This case begins in the Rajgarh Tehsil of Churu district, under the jurisdiction of the Hamarwas police station. In this area, there is a small village called Baselai. Amidst the fields, isolated from the main village, stood a house where 7 members of the Puniya family lived. This was in January 2024. The head of the household, Bhup Singh Puniya, lived there with his wife, Menika, 2 children, Anurag and Garvit, his mother, Santosh Devi, and his grandparents, Hari Singh and Kasturi Devi. The Puniya family was well off, with no lack of resources. They owned agricultural land, and Bhup Singh ran his own business. Despite living in isolation, they were well connected with the villagers. However, this family's ordeal began on the morning of January 31st, 2024. It was a cold winter morning, around 6 a.m. As usual, the elderly grandmother, Kasturi Devi, woke up early. But suddenly, she started feeling unwell. She experienced severe stomach pain and began vomiting. In desperation, she called out to the family. Hearing her cries, the family rushed to her side. They couldn't understand what was happening. They immediately started preparing to take her to the hospital. But before they could do so, she passed away. Everything happened within minutes, leaving no time to get her medical help. Although she was quite old and had been unwell for a few days with symptoms like coughing, her sudden death shocked everyone. The harsh winter likely worsened her condition. The family informed their relatives and villagers, and soon everyone gathered for her last rites. Despite the grief, no one had expected her to pass away so suddenly. She had been physically healthy despite her age. After her funeral and the related rituals, life slowly resumed. But just a few days later, on February 9th, 2024, Bhup Singh's 4-year-old son, Garvit, suddenly fell ill. His hands and legs began trembling. He experienced severe stomach pain and started vomiting. The family, already shaken by the grandmother's recent death, was terrified. They rushed the child to the hospital, but even the doctors couldn't determine what was wrong with him. They initially suspected it might be due to the cold weather. Gradually, Garvit starts getting better and becomes stable, then he comes back home from the hospital. On February 13th, suddenly, he starts experiencing the same symptoms again, which he had on February 9th, shaking hands and feet, stomach pain, vomiting. His family rushes him back to the hospital where glucose is administered. Once his condition stabilizes, he returns home. He was experiencing the same symptoms his grandmother, Kasturi Devi, had before. This raised more tension in the house. By the evening of February 13th, he had returned home again. But after coming back, when he was lying on the bed, for the 3rd time, he started vomiting again. However, this time, they couldn't take him to the hospital. He passed away. Garvit, a 4 or 5-year-old child, also died. Within just 13-14 days, there were 2 deaths in the Puniya family. No one had any doubts. Everyone assumed it was due to his illness. Since children are not usually cremated, the family buried Garvit's body. A period of mourning engulfed the family again. Some more days passed, and now February 28th came. The younger son had passed away only about 15 days ago. On February 28th, suddenly, Bup Singh's older son, 7-year-old Anurag, started feeling unwell too. He began experiencing the same symptoms that Garvit had and his grandmother had too. He started shivering, having seizures, stomach pain, and vomiting. The family couldn't even reach the hospital in time. He passed away on the way. The doctors declared him dead at the hospital. His last rites were performed, and no one suspected anything strange. His death also seemed normal. Within just 28-29 days, there were 3 deaths in the house. All of them had similar symptoms: stomach pain, vomiting, and then death. During this time, whispers began among the villagers, questioning how there could be 3 deaths in such a short time. They wondered if someone had done something to the family. The family probably had no idea yet, but more unusual things were about to happen in that house. On February 28th, Anurag's cremation was completed, leaving only 4 family members alive: Bup Singh, his wife Manika, grandfather Hari Singh, and mother Santosh Devi. Other family members, relatives, and villagers were all present in the house. The next day, February 29th, which was a leap year, a strange event occurred. While people were sitting in the courtyard, suddenly stones fell from above. Everyone was startled, wondering who threw the stones. Some people went outside, others climbed the roof, but the house was situated in an open field, and no one could be seen around. The stone throwing continued for 2 or... It was happening with the belongings of some people. There was no one from outside involved. Initially, there was some whispering in the house about death, and then someone did black magic. After that, there was an incident of stones falling in the courtyard, and now, every day, the house faces fire incidents 5 to 7 times in different places. Out of fear, the family moved all their belongings outside. When fire broke out in the animal feed, they had to call the fire brigade because the fire spread quickly due to strong winds. Firefighters managed to extinguish it. The villagers asked the fire brigade to stay, as more help might be needed, but allegedly, the fire brigade left, citing lack of water or referring to the police. The villagers then arranged their own water spraying machines and water tanks. When they kept watch, fire incidents decreased. Slowly, this news spread to nearby villages, and people came from far and wide to see it. Even the local media picked up the story, and news articles started appearing in newspapers. The villagers thought that someone had cast black magic on the house and its residents. Only 4 people remained in the house, and they too started fearing for their lives. After the situation escalated, people called in tantrics witch doctors who performed rituals. As long as the rituals were being performed, no fire incident occurred. But as soon as the tantrics completed their rituals, the fire incidents started again. These tantrics created so-called innate spells, which are unnecessary and based on false beliefs. There is no mention of these in the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, or Vedas. These actions have no validity in any sacred text. The police had not received any reports about this until the Tehsildar found out about it. He came to investigate and take a report. He stated that nothing like this could be happening and that it must be some prank or conspiracy. According to the villagers, 3 fire incidents occurred in front of the Tehsildar. Once, it even happened with a family member's clothes. The Tehsildar couldn't believe his eyes. Around 400-500 people gathered around the house. The villagers started keeping watch, ensuring that any fire was quickly extinguished. Some watched during the day, while others kept guard at night. Whenever they left their posts, a fire would break out. Later, after the local police were informed, a police team arrived on March 13th. However, the villagers attacked the police, hitting them with sticks and damaging their car. 3 officers were injured. The police managed to leave the village, but the villagers' attack on them remained unexplained. A case was filed against those who attacked the police. The police returned with senior officers and more forces on March 14th to understand what was really happening, why so many people had gathered, and why the police were attacked. The villagers explained the entire fire situation to the officers. If this continues, similar incidents may start happening in the other houses of the village. Complaints had been filed multiple times with the police, but no officer had come here. When the animal's fodder caught fire and it got out of control, the fire department was called. The villagers told them to stay here, as more help might be needed, but due to police pressure, the fire department had to leave. Not only was the police not helping, but they were also not allowing those who were helping. Out of anger, on March 13th, when the police arrived, the villagers attacked them. The local police claimed that as soon as they got the information, they reached here immediately. Before this, they had not been informed. Anyway, the SP who arrived in the village on March 14th assured the people that action would be taken. Meanwhile, the tantrics mystics who had come here were also arrested by the police for spreading superstition and misleading the people. Starting from March 14th, the police began their investigation. They started asking the people about when these incidents began and what all events had occurred. It was during this inquiry that the police came to know about the 3 deaths in the Puniya family's house, in which the grandmother and 2 grandsons had died. It was also revealed that their health had deteriorated in the same way before their deaths. Several police teams were now involved in the case. When the police found out that these events began after the 3 deaths, they became alert. Their minds started wondering if the deaths were natural or if they were murders. How could all 3 deaths be so similar? After vomiting, the police faced another challenge: how to determine the cause of death for the grandmother and the grandsons, as they had been cremated and their ashes were likely immersed. It was discovered that when the youngest child, Garvit, died, his body had not been cremated, but buried. The family was cooperating with the police, providing all the information they sought. They too wanted to know the truth about the strange events in their home. The police then approached the magistrate for permission to exhume the body for investigation. The magistrate granted permission, and the family had no objections. The police, forensic team, laborers for excavation, and villagers all went to the cremation ground where Garvit's body had been buried. His body was exhumed, sent for postmortem, and viscera analysis. The police were now waiting for the forensic reports. Meanwhile, they continued questioning people in the village to understand the family background. It was during this time that the police learned that the head of the family, Bup Singh Puniya, had a GNM General Nursing and Midwifery degree. He had worked as a compounder at Bhagwani Devi Hospital in Rajgarh. He also owned a medical store near the village bus stand. Meanwhile, when Garvit's postmortem and viscera reports came, it was revealed that the child's death was caused by an overdose of a particular medicine. This medicine acted like poison. We cannot disclose the name of the medicine, but this means that the death was not natural, and it was a murder. Furthermore, the symptoms seen during his death were also seen in his older brother and grandmother, which indicated they were also murdered using the same medicine. However, both of them had already been cremated, so the true cause of their deaths could not be determined. The police's theory was now that since the father, Bup Singh, had medical knowledge, he might have been involved. On the morning of March 22nd, the police, on suspicion, took Bup Singh and his wife Menika into custody for questioning. Later, the forensic team gathered samples from places where fires had occurred to determine the cause of the fires. The collected samples were sent to the lab. After questioning at the police station, Menika was released, as her statements did not suggest her involvement in the murders. The police then increased pressure on Bup Singh. His phone was investigated, and the same medicine used in Garvit's death was found in his search history. Faced with all this evidence, Bup Singh had no option but to confess. He admitted that he had committed the murders of all 3, although he only intended to kill his children. However, he ended up killing the grandmother as well. The grandmother, suffering from a cough, used to take medicine for her lungs. On January 28th, Bup Singh added poison to her medicine, and by January 31st, her condition worsened, leading to her death. From February 9th, he started mixing the same poison into Garvit's milk. Garvit's condition worsened. He was admitted to the hospital, but he recovered. On February 13th, when Garvit was sleeping, Bup Singh injected poison into his vein using a syringe. Garvit became ill again. He was taken to the hospital, but got better and came back home. That evening, when he was resting at home, Bup Singh injected the same poison into his mouth, which he had filled into a syringe. After that, Garvit started vomiting badly and died within minutes. Bup Singh had planned the entire incident. He had done extensive research on his phone. After failing twice in the attempt to kill Garvit, he researched more powerful poisons. He obtained the poison because he ran a medical store and could easily get medicines. He prepared the second poison and mixed it in milk. which he gave to his son Anurag on February 28th. As soon as Anurag drank the milk, he fell ill. The poison was so powerful that within minutes, Anurag vomited and died. After these 3 deaths in the house, rumors began to spread. Some people sensed something was wrong, while others believed it was the work of evil spirits. Bup Singh wanted to divert people's attention, so they would forget about these deaths and focus on other things. He secretly threw stones in his own house's courtyard and started pretending to search for the culprits. To set his house on fire, he used highly reactive sodium metal. Bup Singh bought a large amount of sodium metal. This metal is very soft and can be crushed with a knife. It is always kept in kerosene oil, as it reacts with moisture in the air and catches fire. Bup Singh broke the sodium metal into small pieces and hid them in different places around the house. When the kerosene vaporized, the sodium reacted with the moisture in the air, causing a fire at different spots in the house. No one suspected Bup Singh because he was sitting among them when the fire broke out after some time. The police asked him, "Why did you kill your grandmother and want to kill your children?" He had a good relationship with his grandmother and children, who were very attached to her. Bup Singh didn't want to kill them but planned to remove his grandmother first. He also thought that if he killed only the children, people might suspect him. So he killed the grandmother as well, making it appear like an accident. This led to rumors about ghosts and evil spirits. Bup Singh used sodium to fuel the rumors and set his house on fire. This way, he could suppress the real incident and gain sympathy from others, who would feel sorry for him losing his children and his house being destroyed. Bup Singh married Menika from Jitpura, Haryana, in 2015. From the beginning, he suspected that his wife was having an affair. In December 2016, their son Anurag was born, and in September 2020, Jervit was born. Bup Singh's suspicion about his wife intensified, especially during the COVID period. He believed that both children were not his, but were from her affair. However, Bup Singh never revealed his suspicions to anyone, not even his wife, and behaved normally with his children. But he continued to harbor doubts. He also tried to kill his grandfather and wife by mixing poison in their milk, but they didn't drink it because it tasted bad. He had buried the sodium metal near where Jervit was buried, and whenever needed, he would retrieve it to carry out his plans. The police recovered the sodium metal and the poisons. Bup Singh, driven by suspicion, ended up killing his 2 children, plotting the murder of his grandmother, and attempting to kill his wife and grandfather. If he truly suspected his wife of having an affair, he could have confronted her or tested the children's DNA. But he chose not to. He stirred up trouble, manipulated people, and even had the police attacked. He claimed that his repeated complaints about the fires were ignored by the authorities, but in reality, he himself had caused the fire and never made any formal complaints. Bup Singh devised a horrifying scheme, causing the destruction of his own home and fooling the villagers and the media for months. However, after Jervit's death, the truth finally came to light. If he had also been cremated, it would have been difficult for the police to uncover the truth. But the truth always comes out. No criminal can ever completely hide their crime. By March 26, 2024, the full truth emerged. We end the video here. You can leave your comments, like and share the video, or subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon. See you in the next video. Thank you.